You never think something like this can happen where you grew up, until it does. I grew up in a small village in Pennsylvania. Not on any map, really. Just a cluster of houses, a dirt road, farms stretching toward a forest the locals called the Lost Forest. As a child, I used to think it was just an old name, a story to scare kids. But that summer, the forest revealed itself for what it truly was. And the lake appeared out of nowhere. Our village was quiet. Families worked the farms, fished the rivers, and tended their gardens. Everyone knew each other. Life was simple, predictable. The forest had always been there. We never went inside. The paths ended in thick undergrowth, and the trees grew so close together it was impossible to see through. At night, the wind would whistle through the pines, and the older folks whispered that the forest didn't like being disturbed. But those were just stories, right? I remember the summer evenings when children played in the dirt roads and the smell of fresh bread drifted from the kitchens. That peaceful life made the events that followed feel unreal, like some nightmare I couldn't wake from. One morning, after days of heavy rain, a part of the forest at the village edge had flooded, and a lake had formed. Not shallow water. This was deep, black water, stretching far enough that we couldn't see the other side. It was unnatural, silent. Even the birds avoided it. The elders warned us. That water is not for us. Do not go near it. But curiosity is a strong thing when you are young. I, like many others, had to see for myself. The first disappearance was little Tommy, 6 months old. I knew his family well. They were careful, loving parents. One morning, the crib was empty. They called his name, searched the barn, the house, even the forest edge. Nothing. We chalked it up to some tragic accident. Maybe he rolled into a ditch. But the doors were locked. He didn't walk yet. He couldn't have wandered off alone. Then came the second child. Then the third. Each disappearance colder, stranger. Parents wept silently in their homes. The village fell into a heavy, hopeless silence. Nobody wanted to talk about it, but everyone feared it. People began noticing strange things. Shadows at the forest edge, small shapes moving in the trees, sometimes just out of view. Sounds, faint, almost whispers, as if children were crying in the distance, but muffled, echoing strangely. I remember one evening, standing at my window, seeing something move behind the trees. It looked like a tall figure, but with limbs too thin, too long. I blinked, and it vanished. Sleep became impossible for most. Mothers refused to leave their children alone. Fathers patrolled the village at night, lanterns in hand, shouting into the darkness. Nothing answered, except the wind, and sometimes the laughter of children that didn't belong to anyone alive. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know. One night, I convinced my younger brother to come with me. Lanterns in hand, we walked toward the lake. The air smelled damp and rotten, like something had drowned recently. The water was black and still. A half-sunken rowboat rested at the shore, and there, footprints, small, bare footprints leading into the forest. We followed them, twisting through the trees. Every snap of a branch echoed like a gunshot. Every shadow looked alive, and the forest seemed to close around us, as if it were aware we were there. The deeper we went, the colder it got. The mist from the lake crept between the trees, chilling our bones. And then we saw something move. At first, I thought it was a deer, but no deer moves like that. It was upright, tall, unnaturally thin, and quick. watching us, then gone. Finally, we came to a clearing. The lake's dark water stretched before us, larger than I remembered. And on the shore, cribs, scattered, some half sunken in mud, some overturned. Blankets and toys, abandoned. I thought I was dreaming. Then I noticed movement in the water, ripples like tiny hands breaking the surface, reaching out. I screamed. My brother grabbed me. We ran through the forest, branches scratching at our faces, mist wrapping around our legs. Every sound behind us felt alive, watching, waiting. We didn't stop until we were back in the village, and even then we didn't speak of it. Not a word. Nobody wanted to hear the story, but the lake stayed, and the forest seemed to sigh, content. The disappearances stopped after that summer. The lake remained. No one dared go near it. Some said the forest had claimed the children. Some whispered it was a portal, and that the babies were still alive, somewhere else. I left the village years ago, but every time it rains, I remember that lake. Dark, still, and waiting. And I wonder, are the children still down there, just beneath the surface, staring up at a world they'll never know? So, if you ever find yourself in a quiet village, next to a dark forest, and you see a lake that wasn't there yesterday, remember, some places aren't meant to be understood, and some stories are not meant to be told.